Good evening, Cypher.
How are you, Jan?
I'm
How
good,
are you,
thank
Molly?
you.
Okay?
I'm good. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
It's an honour
Yeah.
to have you, most
Thank you.
definitely. A struggle to get you because such a busy man. So we are honoured that you're able to fit the time in.
No, I'm glad to be
Just to
here.
be here
Honestly,
today.
glad to be here. Thank you.
So let's, such an amazing icon within the community.
Thank you.
Looked upon by many as such a great entrepreneur. I guess you carry many names, many names, all being great, of course. My memory of you back in the day was I used to see you in town by the ramp with a group of friends. And I'd be like, that man rules town.
Really?
I'm almost
Oh,
certain he rules the whole of town. You were known by everybody. Who did you not know? But your leadership from back then, I guess, was so profound. You gravitated towards young people, young men, and you were known for the music industry, which is great. And that still lives on.
Yeah.
It still lives on. So the name Cypher Jules, just as much as you're known by many for many names, but I know you as Cypher. How many names do you have? Talk to us.
Well, I suppose my standard name is Keith Cheyenne Smith.
Okay.
From a young age, I was known as Cypher. Basically, I got into music at a very young age.
Okay.
And when you're in music, you take different names. So my first original DJ name was DJ TNT.
Okay.
When I was like 13 years old, so I was on radio from 13. And then Cypher came because I started to do a lot of reading. So once I started to do reading, I always had an interest in numbers and mathematics and things like that. So that's where I literally called my record label when I started to press my own records. I called it Cypher Recordings, and the name just stuck. The name just stuck, yeah.
So Christian name, birth name is?
Keith.
Keith, okay. Never known you as Keith.
It was the same at on my wedding day. It was like, people looking around like, who's Keith? But I think that once I transitioned into business, people wanted to know what your first name was. So I'm happy for people to know that. But I'm as comfortable with Cypher as I am with Keith. Probably more comfortable, to be fair.
Okay, wonderful. I will continue to call you Cypher.
That's fine.
Or Cypher, as I normally do.
That's fine.
So, I mentioned music, and like I said, many know you for the music, but that's kind of drifted away slightly now.
Yeah.
So tell us, elaborate on that a little bit. Are you still in touch with the music, and if so, how much does that play a part in your everyday schedule?
I don't think, if you've ever been involved in the creative arts, no matter what happens, that'll never leave you.
Sure.
I got into music at a very young age. Like I said, I was DJing at 13. I was rapping by 14. And I spent from the age of 13 really until my mid-30s involved in the music industry in some way. Still had the music studios. We're just about to rebuild one of the music studios, so we'll have a new music studio again open by the end of the year.
Love that.
I still do every now and again. Someone asks me to make a beat for them or something like that, which does happen.
Really?
It's
Didn't
still
know
happening,
that.
so, yeah.
Okay, so we need to get you down here then.
But I suppose music for me is a very passionate thing.
Sure.
So it's very difficult for me to compartmentalize it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So I've got a lot really. Once Legacy came along, the project came along, it took really a lot of my energy and focus to make it happen. So I haven't been involved into anything creative for quite a while, but it's still, the inspiration still comes.
Okay. So I guess
still hear instrumentals and want to write to it.
Really?
But I think that part of me feels like it was a different lifetime. But every now and again, I don't mind having a little dabble. But that's it.
It's your comfort.
It is, and it is. It's a way in which,
Yeah.
also it's a way of actually expressing what's on the mind and things of that nature. So,
and we get that because obviously we have the dancers that come to the dance school, and dance is their way of, you know, expressing themselves. So I guess music will always live within
inside
your heart
me,
per se.
Definitely.
So a question for you then, because being involved within the music industry back in your earlier years, how does that look like? What does that look like now for young people? Because it's got such a horrible attachment to it at the moment, hasn't it? Whereas any kind of music associated with young boys and rapping and, you know, grime music, etc., we suddenly attach it towards gang affiliation. What's your take on it? Because obviously you said music is your heart.
I think it was the same then, to a certain
Okay.
degree. I think it was the same then.
Really?
I think hip hop, because the music that I made was hip hop. I made hip hop music. And if you think of hip hop or reggae music, there were, you know, people who was involved in that were kind of looked at as rude boys. It was, if you were into soul music, so funky house and soul, then you were looked at as that was okay, socially acceptable, more socially acceptable. But hip hop was always looked at the rebellious music. Drum and bass was always looked at in the early days, jungle as the rebellious music. So I don't really have a problem with it. I don't, because I understand the culture. I understand where these young people are coming from. I've walked that journey. Do you get what I mean? I've walked that journey. Like, you know, 13 years old, I was in events, 13, 14 in events, DJing, you know, because I was tall. I was always tall. So nobody really asked my age. And people assume when you're tall, people assume that you know, they assume you're of age. So I've been in a lot of places at a young age.
Shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's the truth, and you know, we all know the tricks and the methods that, you know, that we used to get into these places. So I don't really judge young people like that. When I see they're into their drill and they're making the beats and whatever, I don't feel threatened by it. I understand it. I understand that they're going in they hear the beat's got a certain energy to it, and they're expressing themselves on it. But I know that track that they've made, that's not the entire person. That's just that's only a piece of who that person is. There's another side to that person. So I don't really judge young people like that. I can relate to it. Like I said, I've lived that life. I've walked that journey, not lived everything that they've done, but I've walked my own journey through my own tribulations and my own development and growth. So when I see young people and they make music and it's a little bit scary or whatever, I'm not scared. I'm more sort of like listening to the lyrics to see what is this really about.
What they're really talking about.
What they're really about. Some people do it as well because the music industry is, there's a way, people will always go the path of the least resistance sometimes. And the way right now, it's like if you make that kind of music, the godliest bars, then that's what gets people's attention.
They'll pull that out as the main part.
When you do the friendly tunes and the it's true, you know, there are no certain times people don't kind of take any notice. But when you come with the godly bars and you got the godly look, then people tend to go for that, you know. So, but that doesn't mean that that's the whole person. I would rather try and influence the young artists to kind of like be a bit more rounded. Like you talked about that, but remember you talked about this. For if you're gonna have a, you know, Tupac would make a lot of music that might be quite rugged, but then he'd make a tune, you know,
that was quite soft.
Dear Mama, or you gotta have a balance. You can't just be, your music's just one thing, and it's just very shallow.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I don't want to steal mine, Simon, because she's got her questions. We could talk to you all evening, Simon. I mean, we've done questions, but I haven't even touched on any of them yet. I'm just flowing with you. So, interestingly, a family man, a husband, a father to girls,
4
lovely, beautiful girls, whom I've met and interacted with, and they are all just doing amazingly well, from the little one straight to the older one.
I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's very interesting to others, because here is a man who has become the community icon in terms of taking on the drum, previously known as the drum, which is now Legacy. But you're a father of 4 to 4 beautiful young girls. and then your wife, who's highly intelligent and working within schools, I believe. And
yeah, she's a queen, man.
She is. She definitely is. Beautiful heart and soul. Tell us about the Cypher at home.
I think for all the fathers out there, I think parenting boys is different to parenting girls.
Most definitely.
So I think that there's a lot more communication, I think, involved, and a lot more listening involved and kind of understanding. Whereas, you know, when we were growing up, I think the parenting was quite different. Do you know what I mean?
Very one way.
Yeah, it was different. And when you got boys, it was kind of the tendency was to be a bit more militant and, you know, to make sure that the boys understood what was going on. But me and my cousins, I think when we were small, in fact, when I say small, I'd say younger, because it's obviously you're boisterous, isn't it? So I get why they kind of were a bit like that, because we could be playing football, mash down wall, mash down this, mash down that, man. So, but yeah, it's different. To be fair, you'd have to ask them that, really.
Really?
I think I try and just be myself.
Are you the soft one or the harsh one?
Good question.
I try and do a lot of listening.
Okay.
I try and do a lot of listening. I wouldn't say I'm the militant one.
I wouldn't have you as a militant one.
No. If you do something crazy, then I'll stand up. You know, I got something to say. I always try and be straight and tell the truth.
Yeah.
So if you ask me something, you ask my opinion.
You're gonna get a straight answer.
You're gonna get my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Better you not ask if you don't want that.
Yeah.
But if you want my opinion, I'll tell you the truth. So I'm not gonna lie to you. But I don't try and be. I made a decision, I think, a while ago that each to their own. But I think that the idea, if you're a father, I think you got to be careful with your parenting, because your children are kind of looking at you and basing what their future partner might be like based on the interactions you have with them. So I'm very conscious of I've got to be kind of almost the best I can be a role model if I can be at home, not for me, not for myself, but for what the future would look like for them. Now that doesn't mean I get everything right, because I'm very conscious that I don't, but I'm always trying to find a new way of being as good a parent as I can. The
best role model that you can, of course.
The best I can be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for parenting. I could talk about parenting all day long.
It's a whole science.
It truly is.
Trust me.
There's never a perfect parent and there's never a perfect child.
And every child is different.
Most definitely. And every challenge comes like a curveball from around the corner and will hit you straight in the middle of your eye.
Jan knows.
Yeah.
Jan knows.
I know, and you know, both mine and Joe are very different, very, very different in terms of the way I've had to parent each. And it's interesting because obviously within the music industry, you would have been surrounded by boys.
Yeah.
And then you come to have 4 girls.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's a different.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's so different
it's
for
different.
you.
I think if I'd have had boys, I think it would have been a bit more of a militant regime.
What would that look like, do you think? And
I think because I kind of came up in a time where it was like parenting was much more militant.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, not to say there wasn't communication, but because there was, but I don't think there was as much communication that I'm trying to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it was different then. But look, I'm blessed because I've got four queens. Yeah. You know, so for me, I'm satisfied in my job. Like I'm focused on them.
That's going to be a lot of money for weddings, you know. So you start saving.
I knew that from day one. I was looking like, boy.
Yeah. Try and marry them up all together one time, one building.
just want to, you know, the main thing is like, it's like being I think that provider thing of being a role model and being a provider, making sure that they're looked after and that being a key focus. Yeah. So for me, family is important, and anything that I do has to, rather than my family fitting around business, it's more a case of business and everything has to fit around my family.
And I can vouch for that because I do recall one time when we were going to meet up and I suggested a Sunday to you.
Yeah.
And you were pretty much straight cut. Jan, I don't do Sundays. Don't call me Sundays. Not seeing you on a Sunday. I'm with the family on a Sunday, and I was like, oh, okay, Cypher, get it. So I can vouch for that.
I have to.
Yeah.
It's important.
It is important, yeah.
You know, what's the point making all this money and doing all this stuff
if the family time is not there
and they don't benefit? What's the point? What are we doing this for?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I always try and learn from other people's example. So I know a lot of business people who are older than me that when I was coming up, they've got regrets in terms of they didn't spend enough time with their family, they didn't spend enough time with their children, this and that, and they've got regrets. And also, health is another thing as well. Like, you know, for me, like sports and gym is important. It's always been an important part of my life. And I think that if you don't, again, I know a lot of business people older than myself who have actually, their health has started to fail because it's work. But if you don't get a chance to do that gym routine, do that one, you know, that 1 hour a day in the gym, might not cure everything, but it will help a lot. Yeah. Even with your mental health as well, I feel. Yeah. Stress levels and things of that nature.
Yeah, I can vouch for that too. So, a question for you then, just to wrap up round about the parenting side. What advice would you give to parents out there at the moment who are struggling with young boys? Having been around young boys a lot of the time with you, what advice would you give to them? Although you're not a father of a son, I do believe that your experience and, you know, your intelligence around being around young boys, what advice would you give to them at the moment in terms of raising a young boy now in this society, because it is quite challenging, or can be challenging?
I think the first thing, you got to know your child. You got to know what do they like, what do they don't like, what do they eat, what do they not eat, what do they like at school, who are their friends. Like, you got to be involved in their life and understand your child, because, you know, if we look back in our lives, you know, sometimes children can be living a whole different life, going through all kind of problems that if you're not communicating with them, you think everything's all good, but it's not. There's a lot going on, so you have to communicate with them. I think you've got to be protective over your sons. So where they're going, who they're with, where they're around, what they're on, what are they influenced by, not to shield them, but to counteract any kind of negative influences. You know, encourage, I think, knowledge of self for young people key. You know, young people need to know where they're from, who are they, where they're from, what's their history, what's their culture, what's their lineage. You know, understand themselves. You know, instead of getting lost, because, you know, a lot of young people don't have they ain't got no real sense of themselves, and they're easily led in the wrong direction. But you see, when you're strong in yourself and you know who you are, I think that's important. So, you know, make sure they got knowledge of self, and you know, whatever culture your child's from. So if your child is Black, African, Caribbean, you need to be teaching them about that history. If your child is from another culture, you need to be teaching them that history. Not to say that they're separate, but you've got to root them.
Give them that foundation.
You've got to give them that foundation and make sure that they're rooted well within themselves. And I'd say as many positive activities as possible. And also with your young people, with your boys, you got to make sure they've got a legitimate way of feeding themselves, of getting the things that they like and that they want. Do you know what I mean? If you don't, then they're going to find a way of doing it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And there's plenty of ways out there that they can find ways to make money that you're not going to be really down with. You're not going to be wanting them to do that. So if you've got a link who can give them a part-time job, or, you know, somewhere they can get an internship, but make sure that they've got a constructive way, something to do constructive with their time, and a way of being able to earn some money, even from a young age, that they can see, okay, I can do this and I get paid for it. Because if they don't, they're going to find a way to get paid somewhere else, especially in this materialistic culture that we're in. And just be aware of, you know, phone usage, social media, this and that.
get
And you
involved.
can only know that by being involved in their life.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all about that phone check.
Trust me.
All about that phone check. I speak to some parents, they shy away from it. I can't, emphasize how important it is to do that, because you will think your child is this. You look at the phone and the content and you don't even recognize that person. But it allows you to engage in conversation and get an understanding as to where they're at.
I don't miss that phone check. But you know what? Being an adult now and been in a role of inspiring young people, I see how valuable it is. Yeah. Like, I remember it's phone check time, and we would literally go head to head.
We
like, what do you mean it's phone check? You didn't check my phone. My personal phone, my business.
I paid the bill. Press the phone. And you know what, cleverly, this is a tip for parents, I would phone check on, say, like the Saturday, and then I'd phone check again Sunday. I should be like, hold on, you phone checked yesterday? Pass the phone. Because as far as they're...
Jan's using the HR management technique.
Catch them off guard. I've got to be 10 steps ahead. Because as far as they're concerned, you phone check Saturday. She's not coming back again until next Saturday, or possibly a month's time.
So you can put the dugu on there Sunday.
Listen,
she ain't going to notice.
She's not going to notice. She hasn't deleted anything. It's all there. Thank you very much. Receipts.
Go on, Jan. Go on, Jan.
Big tip.
Horrible at the time, but so beneficial looking back.
It was. We're good.
I'll be honest with you. Those are the kind of things that my wife she'll do. Them kind of things. I like to talk, like, what's this about? What's going on, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who's this? Who's that? How was your day? Like, I want to know what happened in your day. Like, what's going on, really? What's happening? Who's this person? What's not to be nosy, but just to understand. Because remember, your child, they grow, isn't it? So you want to grow with them as they grow. Like, definitely. What their interests are, like, what are you into? Yeah. And I think. One of the things I learned from doing youth work is a lot of parents don't know what their children are into. They don't know what their children like. They don't know what their children's tastes are. Yeah. If you ask them who their favourite musician, they wouldn't be able to say.
Couldn't tell you.
And you don't really necessarily understand your child. And I just want to make sure that I keep that bond.
I've said to a lot of parents that most definitely interaction with your child and relationship with your child is no different from meeting somebody new in your life.
Facts.
You want to know everything about them. Every detail. Who's your parents? Where do you live? As when I would say, where do you come from? What is the postcode? So, it's no different. You need to know every little bit about your child.
Trust me.
Don't expect it just to be, given to you on a plate. You've got to do the questions. You've got to do the groundwork, as they say.
And it's a team sport.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole family, as a unit.
That village.
Yeah, that village, for real, takes
Yeah.
part in raising it, because one individual or two individuals alone can't do it. You need it's a team sport.
Yeah.
Like business is a team sport.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Takes more than one.
raising a family is a team sport.
Thank you for that, Cypher.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been asked that question ever.
Really?
That's interesting. No, never.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I had that one prepared.
Question.
I had it ready for you. Because I think about it and I thought, yeah, that's interesting. So let's go straight to business.
Okay.
Let's go straight to business. So, legacy. How did that feel, acquiring such a huge... Gosh, I don't even know what to say about that.
What made you take that on, Si?
Well, it was... I mean, we had a building in the jury court at the time.
Yeah.
So we were kind of outgrowing that space anyway. We'd been there 10 years and we were outgrowing it. But what happened was, simultaneous with that, the drum went.
Yeah.
Now for me, when it went, it was massive because I'd performed in the drum. I'd done shows there. To me, it was an important building. Yeah. And I'd grown up and seen many buildings that our community had that we'd lost. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So a lot of buildings we lost, and every time we lose a building, it's like a death. Do you get what I mean? So I was like...
It had quite an impact on the community.
It does, because the community starts to lose belief. you know, that we can't actually manage these spaces. It's like anytime a big black business would flop in some kind of way, you know, you'd always feel as though the whole community loses some self-confidence. So for me, it was like, it had to be done. I'm very solution orientated anyway, so I see a problem
And you fix it.
and I look at a solution. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, this is a problem, we're going to lose a building. The solution is we save the building and we purchase it. It was really that simple. So the minute that it was lost, it was like, I was like, okay, how do we acquire this space? And how do we maintain it in our community, but also take it to the next level in terms of take it into the future, 21st century. That's why we renamed it as Legacy, because for me, it's not about me as an individual, it's about building a team, becoming a facility where young people can actually come in and learn about the business of running an event space, running a business, and actually go into leadership positions. We want that. You notice that the team at Legacy is young. It's mixed, it's intergenerational, but there's a lot of young people at Legacy. It's about training those young people to actually become to leadership positions, to move into the future. So that because I think in our community we've got this habit of, we have these things, these businesses and these spaces, and then what happened is, as the building grows older, the project grows older, the elders or the people who ran the project, they age out and we lose some of them, and then there's no young people involved, and then we lose the space. It's about having that, so we've got elders involved in our project, which is important, but it's about having youth and having that mixture so that the young people can learn, they can develop, they can come into leadership positions, but then they're responsible for training the next generation of young people. That's really a key thing. That's why we wanted to call it Legacy. And then the excellence comes from that. That's what we wanted. You know, the plan was for within 5 years to be a centre, a truly centre of excellence.
Are you working towards that accreditation?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I would love to share a story with you, Cypher. You've never heard this, but just so you understand the impact of relaunching Legacy and gaining back the drum. So obviously when we started Eloquent Dance, one of our spaces that we used to hold dance classes was at the drum.
Okay.
So let's go back to 2014. We started at the Lighthouse, outgrew the Lighthouse in a space of 2 months, and then went to the drum. And we started at the drum and had young people coming out of nowhere. Do you remember? It was like every week there were extra 5 people. Like, where are we going to put them? But we had our first showcase at the drum back in 2015, and we put 40 young people on that stage up in the upstairs auditorium. Then the year later we did another show at the drum, and then it closed. So then we were like, oh my God, where do we go? What are we going to do? We actually went to Crescent Theatre. And went to Crescent Theatre, and our young people had a really difficult experience in that space. And really, really difficult experience in that space, actually, just because obviously 90% of the young people we work with are black, and they struggled. We had this Crescent Theatre for 2 days, and I think it was on the second day of the show.
I came to the show.
Yeah, you did actually, son. You were in the audience. We were actually told.
It was a fantastic show, by the way.
Thank you.
It was really, I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I like to tell the truth. I like to be honest.
Thank you,
I
sir.
enjoyed it. I told everybody that I knew.
I remember.
I was really impressed with how technical the dancing was as well. Like that wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
They worked hard.
They worked hard, and you could tell. Sorry to cut you.
No, but it adds context because it was such a fight on that second day, because we were actually told that our show wouldn't be able to go ahead just because of the magnitude of young people we'd had, and we were confused because we were like, we've seen a lot of young people here before, didn't necessarily look like these guys, but we know that this can happen. So the challenges that presented itself from the drum being lost was massive, not just for the community but for our young people that were like, we no longer feel comfortable and safe and wanted to even get on stage. I remember we had to do a whole empowerment morning with them. Guys, I know we're here now, let's make it work. So interestingly, when Legacy opened back up, we then had our show at Legacy in 2019, before the lockdown.
Just before the lockdown, yeah.
And that was so poignant that we had that in December. We didn't know lockdown was coming in March, but that was their last memory of
Doing any
being
kind of
with
performance.
their Eloquent family
The building
before.
was packed.
Yes,
Yeah.
It
Ram.
was packed. It was packed.
And we changed it slightly from it just being dance orientated, and even put a little play.
Yeah,
to the
little
thing, yeah.
drama.
So just to create that timeline of how they see themselves within, you know, the community, within society, and it
But
was
they
great.
feel so safe at Legacy. I can't even begin to describe, like, some of our dancers that have been here for 7 years now, their first performance was at the drum when they were like 11. They're now 18.
So they
and it's
feel
like, it's a whole full circle moment.
This is what it's about. It's about something that we own as a community, where our people can come and express themselves and be. There's loads of young people are running around. I'm completely comfortable with that, because I don't view young people from our community as a threat at all.
Yeah.
We've had literally today. We had a recruitment day last week, and we had a lot of young people coming to register. They're like 18 to like 25 for construction course. Now some people would be scared of those young people. Like, I'm not. Not to say because I don't think I'm bad. Like, I'm comfortable with the youth.
Because you want to see a change.
I want to see them thrive. I want to see them progress. So you could tell me anything, well, almost anything, and I'm not trying to say I'm like agreeing with your behavior, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to talk to you, or you can't come in this space. I'm going to be like, right, okay, you're doing this, all right, cool. This is what we're doing. This is the positive things that you can get involved in by being involved in what we're doing. Here's an opportunity to do that. You know, I'm not trying to tell everybody what to do with their life, but I'm trying to provide an option where people can transform their life if they want to. So I don't feel threatened by our own people. Do you get what I mean? Some people do. Some people don't feel comfortable in the space with black youth, you know.
Yeah.
So they get scared when they see black youth. They feel threatened. I don't. And I think it's bad sometimes that we're scared of our own children. We're scared of our own youth. We're scared of our own elders. We don't communicate with each other properly as a community. So I wanted us to have a space where intergenerational, the youth, the adults and the elders feel comfortable. That's why we don't really, and whatever your religious background or your philosophy is, like, nobody's saying if you're Christian, cool, if you're Rasta, cool, if you're Muslim, cool. I'm not. It's open, you know, be comfortable. We're going to treat you like royalty, and we want to do the best for you, for anybody that uses the space or anybody that books the space. Because for us, it's like we want to give them excellence. We want to give our customers and the people who attend the space the best that we can give them, and treat them like the kings and the queens that they are. That doesn't mean that everything that we do is perfect, but the goal was within 5 years to really reach the level of, to say, right, now we are really delivering fantastic service. So every day we're trying to improve.
So you mentioned about in the next 5 years. My next question was going to be
Within the 5 years. So we started in 2019, so the plan is by 2024 to reach the level that we really wanted to reach to.
So I was going to say, in the next, say, 5 years, what does legacy look like to you? What does that vision look like?
I want legacy to be the standard for black arts and business in the UK, in terms of a hub where you can experience high quality art, links towards developing your business or your career. At Legacy, like literally gold standard. That's where I want us to reach to. Platinum standard.
What would you say has been your biggest challenge working within our community?
I think that there's a number of challenges really. I think that bringing us all together sometimes in terms of doing stuff and stopping the segregation, because sometimes our community is quite fragmented. To bringing our people together sometimes. We've had a lot of support, so I don't really. People say, oh, you know, in the black community we don't support our own businesses, but I don't experience that because I was in the music business. People bought my records. When we did videos, people supported it. When we did shows, people supported it. When I had a shop, people supported it. When I had a studio, people supported it. So I've always had that support, and I think that our community does support businesses as long as we treat them, the customers, right. But I would say we took on a building that a lot of people had used, and we wanted to develop a new vision, and it was bringing people with us on that journey of developing that vision to say we've got nothing but respect for the drum, and we've got nothing but respect for the hippodrome that was there before the drum. But this is Legacy Centre of Excellence, and it's a new vision. It's a reinvigorated vision. We're still going to have arts in the building, we're still going to have business in the building, but it's a new vision of what we want to do, and we're going to do it in our own way. Yeah.
Love that. So just creating another arm in terms of what you're doing already, and just taking it to another level.
Taking it to another level.
Yeah, that's great. Brilliant. This all sounds great, Cypher, and honestly, I mean, we think that you're doing an amazing job. You've
Thank you.
Such a fantastic acquisition that you've taken on, and of course there are going to be the challenges, but it's great to hear that you've had that support from the community.
Thank you.
And it continues.
The community's been fantastic, I'll be honest with you. You know, and I don't worry about the people who don't support, because there's enough who do support. Do you get what I mean? So I don't really.
So it balances.
I'm able to hold focus. I don't really hear the outside noise. I don't focus on any of it. I don't focus on the negativity. I don't try and live my life based upon what other people think, or I'm just like, there's a target. I'm going there. You can do what you want. I'm not really interested. It's not going to stop me. Do you know what I mean?
And you have to have that mindset. Otherwise, certain things can sway you.
Definitely.
And unbalance you, and then you've lost that focus. That focus point is then gone. Instead of looking left, you're now looking behind you.
You're switching whichever way, or they said this, they said that, boom, 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 boom. Now, this is what we're doing, and we're going there. And
that's
all
focus.
Of this all over here is not to say it's irrelevant, but I'm not focused on it. You know,
that's good.
And the people who support us, we support them.
Fantastic.
How would you say that the corporate industry have responded to Legacy now being black owned?
I think we've had some. I think we've had some support from them. I think the people that have wanted to work with us. I mean, people like HS2, some of the training organisations, some of the colleges and stuff. So I think that they've seen our work, and they know that it's gone back to them to say, well, we do good stuff. Do you get what I mean? Like in terms of the way we plan it and the way we organise it and stuff, we actually put a lot of work into it. So yeah, and we're good at engaging. I mean, my background, one of the things I did for years was community engagement, project management for corporates. So I understand that mindset. It's not difficult for me to do a project plan that's a project plan that you could have used for any corporate organisation out there. I've worked in that environment, so I understand the levels, and it's, to me, like, I know that we do things as good as many other organisations out there. I just want to get to the point where we're better than anything.
You have to work towards that goal.
Yeah, you have to. If you want to be, if you got a football team, you want to be Liverpool or you want to be Manchester City, or one of the top teams. Not dissing any other teams, but you want to be one of the top teams, and that's how I kind of look at it. Not just for myself, but for the people who work in the organisation and for the community. Like, why shouldn't we have the best? Why is it that where the places that we go should be tatty and mashed down, and our people just get treated rough, and people don't respect them? Why should we accept that for our community? Why shouldn't we have the best? If we're the kings and queens that we say we are, then let's act like it, and let's treat each other as such. Do you get what I mean?
I'm all for that, and a great believer of that, most definitely. And that goes back to the name being Legacy, and obviously the stamp and the gold mark that you want to leave for the young people, that they too can aspire to that.
And they'll pass us, you know.
Most definitely. I mean, things are changing now in terms of what a lot of them are aspiring to. Going to uni has now become the norm for our culture, whereas before it was a struggle.
Yes.
You know, but now it's the norm, and I'm happy to see that, you know, really happy to see that. I mean, we've got some of our older young people who have been with us for years, and they now see university as, okay, this is what we need to strive for.
Yeah.
And what would have been a challenging conversation before is now an expectation, even
Yes.
from their side. So it's good. And
they get, you know, have you noticed now that you're seeing people doing like medical degrees and
yeah,
they're doing
bring
like
it on.
they're you know, training to
The
drive the bar
yeah.
and all of those things. And for me, like, this needs to be normalized.
Yeah.
And us owning facilities and structures needs to be normalized. We need to build the infrastructure in our community. That is as simple as that.
I agree.
To be fair, we should have built that infrastructure 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But better late than never. We need to build an infrastructure in our community. Any of the things that we need to use on a regular basis, we need to be producing and we need to be owning. Do you know? And that goes from food to cars to health. And I'm talking internationally and globally. You know, and we've just got to think with a different mindset and just go out there and do it. I'm not really on the talker. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like to do a lot of smoozing and a lot of talking. I'm not really about that.
Yeah, I switch off.
I'm not really about. I like to.
Let's see the action.
I like to get involved in the action of actually change
Yeah.
making and making a difference. I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember when we were looking for a space because we outgrown Park Road, Hockley, and we were like, we need to speak to Cypher.
Yeah.
So we texted us like, Cypher, we're coming to Legacy, we need a bigger space, but we need to pick your brains on the logistics. And you were like, yeah man, come. And I remember one of the things you said is, action it, what are you waiting for? And I think in the midst of the lockdown, we were like, okay, there's no money coming in. We're thinking about growing to a new space, but how? So I said, action it. So. And here we are. And funnily enough, we're outgrowing this space, and yeah, we'll continue.
Anything that's not growing is dying, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So we've always got to be growing. Legacy's going to grow, and our team's going to grow, and our work's going to grow. In 5 years, when we get to 2024, and the next 5 years after that will be hopefully even greater. And I just think that if you've got an idea, life's too short, man.
Yeah.
You got an idea, this is what I want to do, go out and do it. You got the plan. You've checked it, you've project managed it, you've done your research, you've done your customer research, you've done your market research, you've costed it, you've done your budget, you checked you've done your SWOT analysis, your strengths and your weaknesses, your risk assessments and all that. All right, go and do it now.
Yeah. From that, go and
Stop
actually.
the lantern
Yeah.
and go.
Yeah. It's good. So, Cypher, obviously, we're going to come to a close now.
I've enjoyed this, by the way.
I have.
You've asked me some good questions. Yes,
It's questions that put you on your toes.
yeah. The family won't put me on my toes. Like.
I saw you pause. I wasn't expecting that.
I weren't expecting that. I was sneaky.
And I was just sitting here, I'm thinking, you know, has Cypher ever thought about Legacy TV?
You know what? We do have a YouTube channel that we call Legacy TV, but that's to be developing now. That's developing, and we've got a team now in terms of an actual marketing, and we've got an events team, and we've actually got a marketing and a team that's actually working on that. And I think that's the way forward, because I think that we need our own content. We do like to interview. We do like to talk to people about their work, and I think it's important that we do more of it, because there's so many things and people's journey that we
miss.
Yeah. 100%.
And that we can share, that, you know, obviously will help others, and it's just passing on that baton
to the next generation.
Most definitely, because I can see already, I mean, you've got so many golden nuggets that I could sit here and ask you more questions off script, top of my head. So I think my last question to you then, Cypher, is as we're closing, your daily.
Yeah.
What is your daily motivation? What do you run with on it? As you wake up, what do you run with?
Well, I respect my creator. That's the first thing. So I respect, and I'm also very aware of. I try and walk a path. I try and walk a straight path. I'm not saying I'm perfect, you know, but I'm trying to walk that straight path. That's why I try and stay focused. So I wake up in the morning and the first thing is give thanks. I'm here. I woke up, and I work off lists. So I essentially on a Sunday, I would have created my list of what I'm doing for the week. So I wake up on a Monday morning, I look at my list and it's go. I'm not saying it's perfect for everybody. I work long hours.
Okay.
I do very long hours, and I'll work until the job is done. And sometimes, no matter how long that will take, that's not for everybody, and it's not necessarily advisable for everybody. But I'm just telling you that's how I go.
But it won't be
I
like
spoke
that
to you about that before, didn't I,
Yes.
Mana? And I said that, you know, I don't think it's for everybody. For me, that's what I do. But in the middle of that, family is very important, and I mean my wider family, my community. I respect my people, I respect my community, I respect my ancestors. But overall, the first thing, I respect my creator. And stay on that straight path and just wake up in the morning, give thanks for life. I got my list, I did it yesterday. Yeah, I did my list for the week, and I go. That's why it's difficult sometimes where if somebody says, oh, can you do this on this day? I kind of got my whole...
You've already mapped out.
I kind of got my whole week planned out, so it's kind of like, and that involves like school runs, school pickups. All of that is programmed into my weekly list, you know, in terms of what I'm doing, because that's important as well. School run's important. Picking up, you learn a lot on a school run, you know.
Those tours.
You learn a lot on a school run, you know. There's a lot of reasoning you can do on a school run. I'm telling you,
It can either be a happy ending or a...
I'm telling you, you do a school pickup, you can learn a lot. So, and it's also important for like schools to see, their dad's here, you know, like, regularly as well, and I try and integrate all that into my life, which means that the thing that does suffer, if I'm going to be honest, is sleep. So anybody who's like a proper health coach would say, you know, Cypher, you actually probably don't get enough sleep, and I recognize that, but that's my week. That's what my week's like. So that's why on the weekends, it's about that family time is even more important, you know. So it's like, unless you got like Nas at your building doing a show,
don't look for you.
You know, you got one of Bob Marley's songs here doing a concert in town, maybe. But like,
other than that.
Because for me, family time is very important. And what's the point doing your business, raising money, doing stuff, but your children are disconnected from you? I'm telling you, you know as well. You work with young people, you do youth work. You probably know parents who got good jobs. They're working good money, good house, holidays, everything, but the family life is paired. You've got to maintain it. Anything you don't maintain falls into disrepair, isn't it? You could buy yourself a brand new Ferrari. Just from the garage across the road, you could buy a brand new Ferrari, right? You don't look after that car. Don't turn it over. Don't do anything. You leave that car outside for a year, in the rain, in the snow, in the sleet. You come back in a year. You think that car's gonna start? It's not gonna start, you know.
Listen, mine didn't start after 2 months. Big devour sometimes. But it didn't start for 2 months.
But you know what I mean, though, right? Anything that you don't maintain is gonna fall into disrepair. And for me, family is the most important thing for me. I'm not saying it for anybody else. That's why I think if you're single and you're out there as an entrepreneur and you're single, you better go and get it, man. I don't want to hear nothing about nothing. You should be doing some mad hours.
All right,
get it in. Yeah. What you doing here? What's excuses? I don't want to hear nothing.
Got all your retirement.
Yeah, you got holding retirement. You ain't doing no school run. Grind, go and grind.
I'm looking after 4 girls and having to communicate to all 4.
Go and grind, man. You know, I was feeling a bit. Go and grind, man. Go and grind, because when all of these things come, it becomes different. You got to balance it, so you can afford to be hit the road running, you know. And some people say, well, balance is important. I'm just telling you what works for me. You know, I try and balance that thing of mental, physical, spiritual, and keep that all on a level as much as I can. And if something tips that way, I try and tip it the other way to make it balance out.
Love that. Last question.
Go on.
And I won't ask any more.
No, it's fine.
You're queen.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. And a lot of people will see you, but they don't see the backbone.
Yeah.
They don't see that person who's your support network, your confidence.
She's more than that.
Yeah. She's
you know,
everything. Yeah.
Like literally, she's a queen.
Yeah.
For real though, in real life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm blessed. I recognise that. I'm blessed. Simple as that. Straight up and down. Like I literally got the number one. Do you get what I mean? So yeah.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yeah. No, trust me, for real. I think it's important.
How can we not end on that?
Yeah. It's important. Yeah. Trust me. If I got the top of the Premier League, that's how I look at it. Yeah. So, and I think that in your life, you need to have somebody that you and them connect.
Yeah.
Properly on a level.
And can help you achieve and go towards a goal and the focus that you're working towards.
But definitely that, not contradictory, but even on a basic, like, as human beings, you connect. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you can be broke together and you can be wealthy together, but it doesn't matter. There's not many people you meet that's like that, where it's like, the two of you could be broke and it's just baked beans and rice for the two of you. But you could be rich together and you can whatever together. I think you gotta have that foundation where it doesn't matter whether you had 10 pence or you got £1 million, that you're still gonna be able to maintain that thing. You don't meet many people like that, I'll tell you that.
You don't. And that's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, man. No one gets me talking about that kind of stuff.
I know you.
Questions,
I didn't
man.
say something, but I'm very much the same. You know, those kind of questions. I'm like, whoa. But you know, we appreciate you sharing. And I guess that everybody sees you and want to know just a little bit more about Cypher. You know.
Yeah, man.
Just to see and hear your heart, so to speak. And it's been a real pleasure having you today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing.
You had some good questions, Dan. You thought about those ones, right?
Jan kept you on your toes. I did say to her, I'm going to ask Cypher the business questions. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to go in. I want to know what Cypher does when he wakes up. Okay, cool.
I'm a talker and I'm a people person, so I always, get to the intricates, and then I have a better understanding as to who the man behind Legacy really is. So,
and if you never asked, I wouldn't have answered anyway. Look, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
It's great what you guys are doing.
Thank
I truly mean that. I wouldn't say it if I didn't. I mean it. And I know that a lot of hard work goes into it. And well done. If no one else don't tell you well done. And we need more people to see the work. Right, we need to do this. It needs to be done, and go and do it. And you've done that. So well done, man. I'm looking forward to your guys' show as well.
Thank you.
Yes, just a cheeky plug. We're having a show at Legacy in a month's time.
Yes, April. We're going to take on the Legacy.
I think the thing that Eloquent, I think what I love about you guys, right, is the level that you get these young people to actually perform at is really high. I see them doing stuff, I think, whoa. I remember being at your show and I'm just seeing everybody doing somersaults like it was nothing.
Like it was the norm.
Yeah. I saw a little one that looked about 10 doing somersaults, and I thought, on point as well. The stories, you remember that you did a section inside one of the performances, and it was about a young girl that lost her mom, and there was a whole story around it. So this is real stuff. And I think that it's important that you guys just keep developing and taking it to the next level. I'm always singing your praises.
Thank you.
If there's any opportunities that come along, I always say, what about Eloquent? Or have you thought about Eloquent? Or you know, because that's the way we do this.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
honestly.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you so much, Si.
Love and blessings. Thank you for having me here.